Hey guys, welcome to the video where I show you guys my method and how I take notes to memorize and encode as much information that I can extract from this video tutorial right here easily and efficiently without feeling cognitively overloaded or stressed out. Memorizing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu techniques is hard and complex, so I made it easier for myself because I believe the more knowledge that I'm able to memorize and retain effectively, the more efficient and enriching it becomes to build skill from that knowledge by using kinesthetic learning later on when I get the chance to train at my gym. In Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, kinesthetic learning is all about learning through movement and hands-on practice. So instead of just watching someone demonstrate a technique or listening to instructions, you learn by physically drilling moves, rolling with a partner, and feeling how your body and your opponent's body reacts. This type of learning helps build muscle memory, improves timing, and develops an intuitive understanding of techniques through repetition and real-life applications during sparring. So whatever type of kinesthetic learning or methods there are in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, whether it is ecological or the traditional way of learning Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I believe my method can make the experience to do them even more efficient and enriching thing to do. Back when I was a beginner grappler, doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu every time was a constant struggle because I had constant memory problems. So I at least want to get over that bad type of struggle when it comes to learning Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu techniques and start having a good type of struggle of finally reaching to a point of having enough foundational knowledge built to actually have fun and improve from my struggles that I may face on the mats. I believe acquiring knowledge is the first step to developing skill. The second step is knowledge with practice comes skill, and I use my method to help me build my knowledge faster and easier so that I can have more time, energy, and enjoyment to put to practice to develop the skill more efficiently for myself. Think of it like learning a language. Immersion is key, but having a structured way to remember the vocabulary helps make speaking and adapting to real conversations easier. I am hoping my method can help practitioners retain and memorize techniques more easier so that they can spend more time and energy on execution rather than struggling to remember. To get the full detail on everything about my method, I have a 4-hour video explaining everything about it, my reasons for making it, how it works, and all about the learning methods that I use and combine together to create this one method to memorize Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu techniques easy and convenient. So check it out. But if you're too lazy to watch a 4-hour video, YouTube has this AI Ask tool that you can click under the 4-hour video and ask anything about my method. It does a great job of compiling all the research and information that I put into that video and answering any questions that you may have about my method. Ask why the method was created or how it works, and the AI will answer back. But overall, I consider my method to be a study tool to help me memorize and retain techniques anytime and anywhere I want without needing to drill or show up to my gym. Show me a technique and I'll show you guys how I memorize it. So again, for this video, I'll be checking out this video and we'll try to memorize everything I can from it. Here I have my Anki app open, ready to start my method. I already have the front filled out with the source and name. The source is YouTube, channel is Bernardo, Faria, BJJ, Fanatics, and the name is How to Do the Perfect Kimura from Side Control by Danaher. And now it's time to go to the back of the card where I start my process. For this process, I'll be using two different types of learning methods called chunking and the pattern method, where first I break the large complex information that I am confronted with in this video tutorial right here into more smaller simple pieces by using the chunking method. And then second, arrange those pieces into a different form where it becomes like a puzzle for my brain to naturally solve to figure out for the answer by using the pattern method. And so far, I find that doing these two different types of things of breaking the large complex information into simple ideas and then turning those simple ideas into questions for my brain to figure out by putting all the pieces back together to get to the answer, I find it really helps me memorize Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu techniques like crazy. The idea for this type of memorization process that I do is that it gets me constantly thinking and making connections throughout the whole time I do it. Because the more I can get my brain to think and make connections with the complex grappling material of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu techniques, the more likely I'm able to convince my brain to deem them valuable and have a higher chance for them to enter my long-term memory much faster and easier. That I don't feel stressed out or confused at the end of the process. That whatever grappling knowledge I just threw inside my head for the first time will stay long-term and will not be easily forgettable. That I feel very well prepared and excited to go put them to practice immediately whenever I get the chance to train at my gym. Now again, before we get started, for the Anki pros and advanced users out there, I know there's a lot of features and and settings that I can be utilizing in this app to make the experience possibly even better on Anki. But for this video, we're sticking to the basic flashcard layout. It's what I'm most comfortable with and familiar using. The reasons why I'm sticking to the basics is because I think by sticking to the basics will make it easier for new viewers who have never used Anki before, and it gives them a simple and approachable starting point to understand how the app works and why it is useful. That said, I do plan to make a separate video series where I dive into exploring and experimenting around with more advanced features and settings, especially trying to see how they can be applied to my method to possibly make it better on Anki. But for now, we're sticking to the simple and basic. I believe by sticking to the basics often makes them more reliable, convenient, and effective. But hey, I won't know until I try adding these advanced features and techniques. The path to mastering complexity begins with simple steps, is what they say. Anyways, let's get started. So before we even click on the video, I'm gonna put a situational block right here, situation 1 to start off. Now, situational blocks are a way to indicate different types of scenarios and applications that a technique can be used in the video tutorial. And let's get started.
Okay guys, I'm here today with John Danaher, very excited as always. Big honor for me. And guys, John today shot one entire series about Kimura, like Kimura from everywhere. And today he's gonna show us here, I think, one of the Kimuras that most people do and most people fail. That's the Kimura from side control. And this is something that even I struggle sometimes. Many times I get the Kimura from there and I can't finish. So John is gonna show us how to properly finish that position. And it's a very cool concept about the power line that it kind of goes in the diagonal instead of going perpendicular. And I think you guys will enjoy a lot. So I'm excited to learn.
Almost everyone is familiar after even a few introductory classes of working with Kimura. Okay, let's understand something about, we've got two hands involved in a Kimura. Let's differentiate them into a pushing hand and a pulling hand. Okay, in any Kimura, I'll have a hand on my training partner's wrist. We'll talk a lot about optimal placing for hand position on the video, but let's just understand for now the idea that I'll have a hand which is primarily for pushing or immobilizing my opponent's wrist, and I'll have a second hand that comes through and locks up in such a way that we can exert a pulling force on our training partner. So I'll have one arm that is involved in pulling, like so.
Okay, well, let's start at 105. Okay, 105 is where he starts to explain the mechanics of the Kimura. I'm guessing he's explaining the basics of it. You know, it's just like he takes this basic thing that everyone kind of like pretty much knows, the basics of Kimura, and the way he explains it is very intelligent way to describe it. Anyways, let's see. So how I would explain this? Well, let's just start with step 1, okay, plus, and we're gonna describe what he's just said, just his words. So I'm gonna break his words into blocks, what I call blocks, and this is what blocks are basically. So he basically said the mechanics of one arm pushing this hand down to restrain it. Maybe I'll make a new block called MEC for mechanics, plus state of mind. State of mind is me just trying to think through the idea. What's the idea? So when I combine these two together, right? Parentheses right here. When I combine these two parentheses together, I'm trying to think, okay, what are these two blocks when combined together? Like, why are they combined together? And I start thinking, and my brain starts to latch on to this idea of what he just talked about, the mechanics of it all. I put equal signs, which gonna lead me to carry over the ideas to the bigger picture or the main idea. So I'm gonna explain this whole line just in a bit. When I finish it, I'll explain why I just wrote more clearly. So let's keep going. So wait, actually no. Okay, so mechanics state of mind equals push away equals restrain. So this block right here in this parentheses describes this hand right here, pushing away to restrain this hand down, plus this one is gonna go under and pull towards. So I'm gonna pull towards block equals restrain, carrying over to the main, thinking of the bigger picture of why you're doing that, equals, okay, yeah, I think that should do it enough to give me the understanding of where he's going with this.
and another hand which is involved in pushing. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when we work with Kimura from the cross side, there's a real danger that you will end up with a push dominant Kimura. Remember, you've got two hands here. One's involved in pushing, one's involved in pulling in the opposite direction. As a general rule, we want to operate with pull dominant Kimuras rather than push dominant Kimuras. What does that mean? Well, if
what does that mean? I'm about to break it into these small ideas. Oh yeah, before we go any further, as you know, situational blocks, I already described that. But here's the first line of code, okay? I'm expressing so plus signs, what are they? Well, plus signs are a way to express the combining of blocks together to guide the visualization thinking into the right direction. Parenthesis signs, these are used as a way to group the blocks together when necessary, combining all the blocks that are between the parentheses into one block. This helps with the organization of thinking, especially when it comes to making linking blocks. One of the things to describe blocks, if you don't know what blocks are and you haven't seen my previous videos, blocks are basically a way to give the technique more of a simple context approach for the brain to work with. So basically blocks are basically abbreviations that convey movement, imagination, signifiers, and any ideas I can use to relate and turn complex information into simple ideas. The best way to use the blocks is not to make them too specific or detailed, but more in a way cryptic that only gives enough information to nudge the brain to the right direction, to make the brain logically guess and connect it with the correct way of thinking that fits the context of the technique being demonstrated in the video. So think of it like this. Have you ever played that game where you have a word or picture above your forehead, but you don't know what the word or picture is? So you rely on the other players to give you hints to figure it out. So if someone had, say, a technique, Kimura from side mount above their forehead, how would you as a player hint it or describe it to them without being too obvious or descriptive? Your goal is to get them constantly thinking and making connections until they finally figure out the answer on their own. That's basically what I'm doing to myself. I am only giving myself enough information to nudge my thinking into the right direction until it leads me to the answer. I always start writing the first block as a step block in the code. As you can see, these are all blocks. Equal signs are basically a way to convey an outcome of the blocks, carrying over a single idea or multiple ideas and lead the thinking and visualization to the main idea or bigger picture. So that should be enough to describe this first section. Oh yeah, another part is timestamps. Timestamps are important to add at the end of the line of code. They are used as reference, just in case if the line of code I just wrote is too hard to decipher or that I completely forgot what it means during the reviewing process. This way I can save some time and energy looking for the part that I'm missing more easily.
What does that mean? Well, if I have an opponent in a side position just up on their side, if I get into situations where I'm constantly pushing my opponent's arm, there's a lot of slack in my opponent's shoulder. The shoulder is a very mobile joint. It's one of the
let's do another situation to describe this. So it's at 155. Okay, so new situation, new step block, new line of code. So step 1, to describe this idea, if it has no slack and you're pushing it from here, that's simple ideas. To make this into simple ideas, not effective equals
one of the most mobile in the human body. So if we're getting into push dominant Kimuras, you get a lot of play here and you see people twisting and pushing and moving around. Nothing really happens. No one gets hurt by the Kimura. Okay, Kimuras, you get a lot of play here and
oh, so if we're thinking about just the push dominant Kimuras where you're just pushing and you can't really pull because of this position, push away plus only what's available. Let me just go to my glossary because I save all these blocks, so it's always better to look over the glossaries and know which blocks I should be using to describe this information. Okay, well, I can always come back to edit this card later if I feel like it. So push away only works if equals doesn't work. So if I write this, I'm hoping that what John Danaher just said to me, what he just slapped, his very strong language of complexity of information, just slapping me in the face. I'm hoping this would capture what he just told me.
And you see people twisting and pushing and moving around. Nothing really happens. No one gets hurt by the Kimura. Okay.
Nothing really don't work. Nothing really happens. Okay, I just made a new block and I'll be sure to save it in my glossary later. When I go to review it, this is how I would read it. Not effective, push away, plus only works if. So if I'm only pushing the Kimura and it only works if, damn it, I think I forgot it.
Dominant Kimuras, you get a lot of play here, and you see people twisting and pushing and moving around. Nothing really happens.
Yeah, nothing really happens. So my brain will have to piece all this together to come up to this conclusion in my brain, right? In my visualization, in my way to figure out the pattern of what this actually means. I'll come back to edit it later. This is probably not complete as enough, but we're gonna move on.
No one gets hurt by the Kimura. Okay. We want to get away from that. We want the majority of the force of the Kimura to be one where we immobilize the arm in a position where the arm is under extreme tension and we finish with a pull rather than finish with a push.
Oh, finish with a pull.
Dominant Kimuras, you get a lot of tension and we the Kimura to be one where we immobilize the arm in a position where the arm is under extreme tension and we finish with a pull rather than.
Okay, let's just do 220 as a timestamp. And this is less than ideal equals more effective equals pull towards equals better pull towards plus HC for a higher chance of working for equals attack. More effective pull towards. Okay, so this is how I would describe it. I'm going to do this. Combine all these blocks together to make it more organized. How I would just describe it as in my non-verbal way. It's my job to decipher what I just wrote in the future to this idea of what he just said, okay? So situation 3, man, this is very lots of information just hitting me right here. Let's see, situation 3, how about 3 o'clock? Okay, maybe that'll be better. Timestamp. Okay, so we're describing that this one very common is what people think is being perpendicular to their opponent in the Kimura position would be an ideal situation to work with to make the to set up the Kimura and attack the arm. But in this situation, very common equals, so how do I say perpendicular? I would say IL for in line. That's how I describe perpendicular. You're in line for something, so you could either be in line as this or in line as a cross. That's how I would use this block usually. Again, not to make it too specific or detailed, but each block can have multiple meanings sometimes, and that's perfect because it's not like gives the answer right away at your face. I have to have my brain work for the answer. You can't just be given.
The line of my training partner's chest, perpendicular.
Yeah, IL plus sweet spot.
To my opponent.
IL IL plus craw for cross. CRO is for cross. So maybe, okay, I'll give myself a little more room with that block. Plus sweet spots.
What I want to do is I want to work at the line of his shoulders. His shoulder line is obviously one line.
Is less effective. Is less than more effective. Oh yeah, before we get started, less than and greater signs are basically a way to indicate a conflict in a relationship between the blocks. So yeah, so when I go here, describing this, so this sweet spot is less than this more effective way of what John Danaher is his shoulders. Equals sweet spot. Okay, yeah, that should describe it, right? This shouldn't be here, this is in it. This view is lagging.
This shoulder, like so. And I want to follow the power line, which goes from my opponent's opposite hip in a diagonal line across to the opposite shoulder.
Whoa. Gosh, this is a 10-minute video. Usually my other videos would be 5 minutes of reviewing the tutorials, but this is a 10-minute video right here.
Line, which goes
okay, just
shoulder to the other. I want to position my hips up there
338, okay? Okay. Situation 4, okay? Situations, do I have to add? Whether it's situations or applications, he's describing many different types of mechanics and applications, and this is basically essentially becomes the parts, right, of all his explanation. And I want to keep it all separate, so for future reference, when I look back, I'd be like, okay, what does this all mean right here? And I can figure out, okay, this is just like the parts of what he's describing. This is not the actual like him going through the steps, but explaining the idea of this perfect, the way that Kimura should be set up.
Which goes from my opponent's...
Oh, actually, I don't need to make another situation block. It can be part of step 3. I mean, situation 3. So step 2 plus transition plus sweet spot equals better position. So this block describes him moving his hip towards Bernardo's head. Bernardo's head is basically the sweet spot's right next to Bernardo's head. And this is considered the better position to start setting up this perfect Kimura. Plus state of mind. So state of mind is thinking diagonally equals inline equals sweet spot plus sweet spot. Okay, sweet spot is the shoulder to this.
Opposite hip in a diagonal line across to the...
Sweet spot plus opposite plus sweet spot. Remember, notes, the way how my notes are set up is that this right here probably won't make sense to you, because when I write it and I'm thinking about it and how I'm organizing it in my head, as long as it makes sense to me, it's kind of like it works for me, right? Everyone's notes can be different, but again, if you watch my other previous videos, if your notes don't make you think and make connections with the notes, and it's just too descriptive and you're just looking at it and it just gives you the answer right away, then to me, those are not effective notes. I mean, it doesn't work for me. It could work for other people, but this right here gets me thinking. Oh, hold on, let me write the 354. Step 3 plus 3. So he starts going for it. Starts switching this arm under. Okay.
With my...
Oh, okay. So he goes under to restrain this, and he posted with this leg. Okay. So he basically kind of switch base plus. So while as he switched base, he used this arm to transition plus go under plus keep safe equals restrain equals PRP for prepare. So this block right here describes this arm transitioning, going under, keep safe right here, and it's restraining this whole arm. And this one switch base plus post spot equals hold position equals prepare. So there you go. So this one is switching base and posting spot. That's what John Danaher just did, where he switches base and posts it with this leg. And this one block is describing the arm, and he's holding the position and preparing to pull towards equals restrain plus you're frustrating your opponent, because this is really, there's a lot of tension in this. And so, yeah.
Trapped.
So he's walking, he's literally pushing Bernard's head towards the elbow using his leg. Okay, how would I describe that?
More rather than the shoulder. Now, as I walk...
Okay, so he's walking around. Okay, so that... Gosh, 419. Step 4 plus go around equals close the distance equals more pressure equals frustrate. So go around plus sweet spot.
Walk around this line, you can see that the head is starting to get trapped. And now, as I step over my training partner's head...
Oh, 425. 25. Okay, yeah, I gotta go talking about restraining the head. So close the distance, more pressure equals frustrate plus RES, restraining the head, hopefully. That's what I'm hoping. Step 5 plus stepped over. Go over plus post spot equals hold position plus transition plus sweet spot, close position. Okay, that's hold position.
I can put myself in a position where my head is over the hip and my hips are over the opposite shoulder. In a position like this, I can sweep my elbow to the end of the lever, and now we can hit what we call a pull dominant Kimura. I simply immobilize
Pull dominant.
his hand. I'm not pushing it at all. I just immobilize it on the mat. And from here, my head moves away. I push off both of my legs and I pull with the elbow. So we can get, and now we can hit what we call.
Okay, let's do 440 then. I think this is the end of the video. Hopefully, you guys might. I think this computer is about to crash, freezing up and it's heating up.
We call a pull dominant Kimura. I simply immobilize.
Okay, so let's do a linking block to get the idea of a pull dominant Kimura. So for our linking blocks, linking blocks are used as a way to link specific steps and steps and sections of blocks together with other steps and sections throughout the code. So if I have a line of code that I want to continue my thinking and branch off from, linking blocks will help me do that. Think of it like bookmark. You want to link one bookmark to another section of ideas. So I'm going to link it right to this idea at situation 2. If you go back, rewind back to the video, I clearly stated that situation 2 was he was explaining the mechanics of which one's more effective, whether it's a push away or a pull towards is more effective and stronger for attack for the dominant Kimura setup. So situation 2, it's step 1. Belongs to step 1 dash, and it's the first section. The first section is always the line of code with a step block in front of it. So the first section, so section 1, and if we count the blocks, so the second block. Remember, when you're counting the blocks, if you see parentheses like this, again, like I explained earlier in the video, if you see this combines all the blocks that are between parentheses. But if there were no blocks at all in this line of code, then I would count it like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, if there are no parentheses. But since there are parentheses right here, then this becomes all one. Okay, this is organization of thinking. It's not something complex. It's just like, you know, you have a bunch of balls and you have like a container, and you're just basically putting all of the balls into that container.
His hand. I'm not.
Okay, so continue with this. The pull dominant Kimura equals take opportunity equals
Pushing it at all. I just immobilize it on the mat. And from here, my head moves away. I push off both of my.
Move away. Do I have a move away? I got move towards plus sweet spot. So you're moving the head towards the hip plus pushing away with the legs, creating even more leverage. So post spot plus post spot. That's what describes the leg. Push away because these two legs are posted. They're gonna push away to create even more distance away from the arm.
My legs, and I pull with the elbow. So we can get significant braking pressure on our training partner with a pull. Make sure that our legs are well separated.
I think I forgot to describe locking the arms together. So let me just add that right here. Go over post spot. Yeah, okay, I'll add it right here. So go over post spot when he lifts his leg over to the head equals restrain plus go under plus keep safe plus, oh yeah, go over keep safe. No, yeah, so go under. So this arm goes under to keep safe this wrist, and this one right here goes over plus keep safe equals close the position. So yeah, this is closing the position for the arm right here. So this is how he's restraining it. Closing the position plus restrain equals hold position plus PRP for prepare. So yep, and then this is when he attacks the arm.
Our body straightens out, the hips go forward, and from here we get.
Wait, what? So he's not just moving his head back, pulsing on. Okay, there's more detail to it.
Pull. Make sure that our legs are well separated. Our body.
So more detail. So this is, I'm gonna add a new section, a second section that's gonna be under step 6. So yeah, I'm gonna add a section 2 right here. Okay, let's figure it out right here. So 5, it's gonna be subtle detail equals.
Body straightens out, the hips go forward, and
body straightens out, hips go forward. So move forward plus sweet spots. Okay, this is all one movement. So I'm gonna add a one movement block to give myself hints. So there you go. One movement plus moving the hips to the sweet spot towards his face. Legs are separated. Yep, separated equals post spot plus post spot. Straighten out the body. MSTR for mix straight, okay? Goes, so it's like mix straight. You're posturing your body into a straight line. And then what else?
From here, we get extreme braking pressure. What's required to get it? Our body straightens out, the hips go forward, and from here, we get extreme.
Equals, goes more effective, equals attack. Okay, maybe I should actually not make this a part of step 6. It's probably its own section, step block right here, its own section. There we go.
Braking pressure. What's required to get into this power line position? It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out one of the biggest impediments is going to be your opponent's near side hand. Bernardo will generally be posting his hand or forearm right here on my hip, okay? So even if I did get a Kimura, it's hard for me to get up to the power line because Bernardo's controlling my hip. When I try to get up to the power line, he's stopping.
Well, my solution is that you switch your hips and then you just walk over, right? That's what you do to take away that arm.
Okay, so as we go to work in this position, as I feel Bernardo pushing on my hip there with his forearm or hand, I'm going to initially turn in on my training partner's wrist and back step.
Okay, well, I was thinking the other direction. You switch the hips the other way, but this works too, honestly. I'll add it. Where we're continuing off
Even
from.
if I did get a Kimura.
So new situation 4, so 526. 526. Step 1, safety position plus into position opponent equals, and this is describing Bernardo's gripping that hip right there. So it'll make it harder for John Danaher to go over to that sweet spot next to his head to start this perfect Kimura. Go over plus keep safe plus post spot equals make harder. This is what Bernardo is doing. So there's another thing I want to add is the numbers. So this is why I added 2 next to the blocks. The 2 indicates the player is doing it, okay? Your player 1, your opponent that you're doing it to is player 2. That's why I put 2, the numbers on next to the block. If there was no numbers in this right here, then that means it's you're player 1. So this is what you're doing. But if it has a number 2, that's what your opponent's doing.
It's hard for me to get up to the power line because Bernardo's controlling my hip. When I try to get up to the power line, he's stopping me. Okay, so
Make harder.
As we go to work in this position, as I feel Bernardo pushing on my hip there with his forearm or hand, I'm going to initially turn.
537 right here. It goes switch base equals go over plus go over, go over.
In on my training partner's wrist and back step. Off that.
Okay, so he literally went over equals take away plus move back equals post spot. So this is the back step right here. This will explain the back step, will give me hints to think of the back step. Switch raise, take away plus, and then this will be equals preferred position, preferred.
That back step, we're going to tripod, and now you've just beaten your opponent's hand.
Okay, so and then I would add equals continue from there equals, so you're going to continue from there. I'm like a linking block to describe situation 3 of all the steps. I mean, sometimes if you're not being too specific, you can always just say situation 3 and that's it. Situation 3 is all you need for a linking block. Now if I wanted to have a specific step right here, I'll probably like, okay, I want to go off from step 4, then I would have to do this step 4 and start linking to that specific code, but I don't really need to. Situation 3 is good enough.
From here, we sweep our knee forward, just like so. And I take a decisive step across my opponent's center line, and I want my head over his hip.
Yep.
So once again, Bernardo has...
Oh, I forgot to add that. Okay, so yeah, the power line. So very common. So this one right here. So this is the power line that I renumbered earlier. And this will go equals, yeah, the power line. Remember the power line. ST3 dash step 1 dash this whole section right here. Okay, so that's what we're working with right here. Hey, what's up guys? So before my computer had the chance to crash on me, I was able to luckily save the video file on OBS, and now I think overall looking at this video, looking through it, it's pretty much over. So yeah, once I finally converted all of the information that I learned from this video tutorial right here into code form, having new information fresh in my head. By the way, I added the card into the deck before, I was worried. I was pretty much worried that all of the code I just typed, the computer would crash and I would lose it all. So I immediately added into the Anki app, press study now and show the answer. So yeah, anyways, this is basically what I've wrote, has all the information of that video, what that computer contains, into this code form right here. So once I finally converted all the knowledge I learned from this video tutorial into this code form, having new information fresh in my head to prevent this new information from spoiling, the last process I do is that I use the Anki app to help me review and increase my retention of the information by using a method called spaced repetition. That way I don't have to worry about forgetting what I just memorized. It could be weeks to months to even years. It wouldn't matter, because this method will make sure I won't forget it in the long run, as long as I am consistent with it, of course.